All right. Here is an example of an image taken in early fall. I believe this was taken at the beginning of October here in Boston, which is not super colorful. Clearly, we do have some color here. But the point here is to show you how you might be able to increase some of that. I am in Lightroom CC or Adobe Lightroom, not Lightroom Classic, because this is what I am usually teaching my students on. So this HSL, this color mixer right here, this is called the HSL tab, meaning hue, saturation, luminance. It looks a little bit different here than on Lightroom Classic, but they're really similar. So in this one, you can choose color. You can choose specifically under hue. You could just do your hues. You could also just do saturation or just do luminance. I tend to like to play in color first and then change the hue, saturation, and luminance of each one of those colors. You can't expand it the same way that you can on Lightroom Classic, and I'm also working on a laptop today, so slightly different. But I wanted to show you how you could increase and make a fall backdrop for any photo that you want. So if you have never played in the color mixer in the HSL tab, I really suggest you take some time and play around with this. It's quite amazing. So choosing whichever color you want, knowing that I have a lot of oranges and reds in here, I could choose the oranges, and you can actually physically change the hue of those oranges. I'm obviously doing this to extremes just to show you, but you could make this a little bit of a warmer orange or a little bit of a redder orange. It's kind of up to you. You can also change the saturation of said color. So I usually leave my hue exactly as it is and take the saturation up on a color if I'm trying to increase my fall background. And then the luminance is the brightness of that color. So saturation is almost how much of it you're seeing, and luminance is how bright or dark of a tone you are seeing. So in this case, a tone of orange, I can make my oranges darker, or I can make my oranges brighter. This is kind of up to you. So I'm going to make my oranges just a little bit brighter. I brought up the saturation of them. I'm going to play around in the reds as well, just to see if I can increase the reds. And I kind of like them brought up a little bit. And then I'm actually going to bring down, actually, I think I will bring the luminance up just a little bit. You can also type in whatever number you want here, or you can use the sliders. So moving on to the yellows, which would be in this part of my image, I am going to, my yellows look a little green there, so I'm going to bring them more to the gold side. If I brought them all the way down, again, this would be golder, and this would be a greener hue of yellow. So I'm going to bring them a little bit golder, increase the saturation, and I feel like I want them just to be a little bit brighter. Then I can actually play around in my greens. So here I've increased obviously the oranges and the yellows, but if I play around in the greens, I can also either take down the saturation of those greens so you really notice just the yellows and oranges if you want, or I can kind of increase the greens and bring it up still with the brightness that I would want. So it's up to you how much you want people to notice those greens, or maybe notice the sort of difference in offset and contrast between these two. So that's just one example of how you can really increase the tone. So here's an original and here's what it looks like now. You can always go under this versions button, and if you scroll over your original, you can see sort of your original image and what you've done to increase it. So that's just kind of a quick way you could do something. I can show you in another image here what I might do, playing around with my hues. Maybe I'll bring it down to make it a little bit redder, increase the saturation, and increase the luminance of this. So I've made a really large difference there very quickly in how much this looks like a brighter fall image. I could also, of course, select the background and bring that up or down so that you're just noticing the leaves. But this is extremely helpful when you are photographing people and you want more of a fall backdrop. I hope that was helpful.